All right, piss and vinegar day 76, accessories day. Slightly different today. I took abs out of my accessory day, and I'm going to put that into my prehab rehab day on Sunday. That way I can hit my abs a bit more effectively, because at the end of this workout, I do quite a lot of stuff on this day. I do, three different shrug movements, three different neck movements, two different calf movements. So that's about 30-40 minutes right there. And by the end of that, I'm not really in the mental state to want to then do 3 ab exercises to their utmost capacity. And I'll still get them done, but between dreading the workout more than required, which is not a good place to be because that will subconsciously change your workout, it just genuinely will, and just also potentially lacking my ab training at the end because of lack of energy, I've decided I put my abs on my Sunday day, where I do a lot more smaller muscles like rotator cuffs, abductors, functional quotations, functional stuff to work on small weaker links like my lower back and stuff like that. But the abs is not so much a unrelated to bodybuilding thing like the rotator cuffs and kind of tibialis raises and stuff I'll be doing on my prehab rehab day. Those are actually genuinely very much for strength and hypertrophy, because the abs aren't they're super important. I mean, I think people start to think they're overrated nowadays. People will say, oh, abs are overrated, it's all about like back and stuff. It's like, nah, the abs and these these show muscles like biceps and chest, they're fucking important for a reason. It's just like counterculture to say they're not. But the abs tie in your physique. They tie the upper and lower body. They're very important for your ability to be able to brace through squats and deadlifts. And aesthetically, they're very important. Now, obviously, right now I'm bulking and can't see a fucking ab in sight, apart from my rapidly developing obliques, which is another point in itself. You got to train your obliques. They won't make your waist that much wider than they already are, and they'll only accentuate the waist to make them look more defined and smaller, even if they get a little bit wider. So I need to make sure my abs are hit real hard and well, especially now that I'm bulking, because you don't build abs when you're cutting. People will train their abs like maniacs when they're cutting weight, because they're like, oh, I want to see my abs now that I'm cutting. But you don't build muscle throughout your cut, or at least you don't when you're more of an advanced lifter or a very nominal amount of muscle. So you train your abs the hardest when you're bulking, because you won't see them, sure, but they're there and they're growing because you're bulking. And this way, when you decide to cut, you'll be able to see them earlier. You won't have to cut down to fucking 8% body fat and crash your testosterone levels in order to see your abs. You'll see them at 14% because they'll be huge and stacked. And that will add to your physique massively. And yeah, so they're very important in so many different ways. Do not neglect your abs. I neglected my abs for years. I was under this false impression that squats and deadlifts would make my abs perfectly developed. Wrong. Train your abs directly, just like any other muscle. You don't do just chin-ups for your biceps. You do bicep curls and hammer curls. You don't just do bench press and overhead presses for your triceps. You do tricep extensions. You do overhead extensions. And then the list goes on. You don't just grip things for your forearms. You isolate them. So isolate the abs. It'll make your spine healthier. It'll make you look more aesthetic. And yeah, women like abs, dude. I mean, women won't say this shit because they don't want to be superficial, but chicks like abs. It's just that fucking simple, man. Like, this whole psyop of, oh, I like a dad bod. I like a dad bod. That's hot. Like, that's what I'm after. No, that's what chicks say to seem modest. And they might date the guy with the dad bod because he's easier to control. But in reality, they want Chad with the abs because it just implies so much more work ethic, and it looks better. And it's like, oh, it's not cuddly. It's not cuddly, sure, but fucking looks really good. So most chicks will be more attracted to your six-pack than your big fat dad bod. And even if they're not, fuck them, who cares? It's not even so much about the women. But I know plenty of guys out there right now are having a hard time with women. One of the ways to offset that is until you develop your personality and business and money and other things, having a rippling six-pack will help you get laid when you are otherwise pretty much a young loser. I mean, that's what you are when you're 18, 19. You're a loser, and that's how we all are when we're 18 for the most part. So getting a six pack will help basically get laid. Oh fuck, still got this cough. Kind of ranting now, but this is sounding like very red pill fucking manosphere gay shit, but it is true. Having abs will help you get laid. And moving on to the next point, which was, there was something I was going to say. The neck. I was doing neck extensions, or my lateral neck curls, as I call them. And I noticed my left side is quite a bit weaker than my right side. And I'm like, I wonder if that's got something to do with the fact that my cervical spine and thoracic spine, or my neck and upper back, dysfunctional as fuck. I have a lot of cracking and instability and nerve impingements and shit in my neck and thoracic spine, and I can crack them really easily, and I crack my thoracic spine on a daily basis through my neck. That whole connection's kind of fucked. And I was wondering if it's because one side of my neck is stronger than the other side. I was wondering if it was because the scalenes and the fucking what are the other side neck muscles? I can't remember the you have the now I've forgotten a lot of anatomy since studying exercise science. You have the sternocleidomastoid muscle, which is the big one that runs down your neck, and that's what you train when you do neck curls, so forwards motion. But then you have like scalenes and these other muscles that get trained on the side of the neck, which are equally as important, and it will train your sternocleidomastoid muscle. But where was I going with this? Oh, anyway, the side of my neck muscles, I can't remember the exact anatomy, and there's so many different muscles that run through the neck, so forgive me for getting all the fucking Latin in the world. But basically, this side of my neck is quite a bit stronger, and I'm wondering if that's creating imbalance, because another thing is, if you don't do neck curls properly, there are muscles called the sternoid muscles that basically connect your sternoid hyoid bone, which is a bone that runs free floating in your neck. It's above the Adam's apple, and it basically will give you a turkey neck if you're not careful. If the muscles become imbalanced, they will pull that bone out into what basically turns into a turkey neck if you don't train the neck curls properly, which I didn't for years, and now I have a protruding hyoid bone, which is aesthetically incredibly unpleasing, because part of the jawline's aesthetics is having the opposite of a turkey neck. You want your neck to be really tight up and accentuate the jawline. So that's another problem that can come from neck training if you don't do it right. And then there's a host of reasons why you want to train your neck, and you want to train it correctly. You don't want to do neck extensions, which I'm doing right now, incorrectly, because it would potentially hurt your neck if you have a loose neck or cervical spine. I have a loose cervical spine personally. Like if I run really heavily, I can literally feel the vertebrae jump up and down. It's that unstable, partially probably because of the side of my neck is stronger than the other side. So I don't take these to mechanical failure, for example, because it'll potentially give me a stress headache the next day and give me a bunch of neck pain. I also do this with a certain technique. I keep my neck tucked, so my chin stays tucked, and I don't necessarily curl my neck back. It's more kind of just sitting up and sitting down while bracing through the neck rather than moving the neck excessively. So there are a lot of things in neck training. People will say neck training is safe, and it can be, but if you do it wrong, it will fuck you up, and it will hurt you, and it will make you ugly. It will make you ugly like me. It will fuck up your hyoid bone and fuck up your side profile. But it will also potentially make you handsome. There are many photoshops on the internet nowadays from like fucking incel forums and shit, where dudes will like, you know, incels are always thinking of new ways to try and change their unfortunate genetic predispositions. And one of the ways, it's actually correct, is training the neck. When your neck is as wide as your jawline has contrast, which makes it look more handsome. There are a bunch of photoshops that these incels on incel forums and shit have made of celebrities like Brad Pitt, Channing Tatum, what was another one in these fucking photoshops? I think like Ryan Gosling or whatever his name is. They made it so his neck or their muscles are in line with their chin, or they didn't make it that way. That's how God made these people. They're genetically gifted, or maybe they train their neck for all I know. But either way, these guys have jawlines in line with their neck or their mastoid muscles are, now I'm totally losing the fucking anatomy. I don't want to lose my point here. They have their neck muscles in line with their jawline, which makes them much more handsome than the person that doesn't have that, because they Photoshop these guys to then have smaller necks and have their necks skinnier and not in line with their jawline, and they're far, far less aesthetic when that is the case. They still have these incredibly strong jawlines and handsome faces, but without the contrast of a thick masculine neck, they look like far less attractive. And on the contrary, these guys also Photoshop medium-looking men or even ugly men with skinny necks. They give them big, thick necks as wide or wider than their ugly fucking faces. And these men go from being ugly to being medium, just normal-looking dudes, because part of it is just that their neck fucking sucks. So aesthetically, it will make you look more handsome if you have a wider neck. You will look more respectable and masculine regardless. Even if you have a super ugly face, you will then want to adopt the sort of thug look. You'll want to be the masculine, like hyper masculine, intimidating look. And I mean, don't want to intimidate people here. That's cringe. Don't be like shaving your head and be like, I'm a fucking hard cunt. But like, you'll look more respectable. People will respect you if you have a thicker neck. It implies higher testosterone. It implies more authority. And you'll just generally look a little bit more attractive. So training the neck is super important. And then like for combat sports, you know, if your neck is really strong and thick, your head can't rattle around as much. So, you know, if you're into boxing or MMA, the thicker and stronger your neck is. I mean, look at Mike Tyson. That fucking guy, in his prime, his neck was like 4 times wider than his fucking skull. And no one was knocking him out. And even just, you know, anecdotal, I'm showing off my unbelievably shitty calves here at the end of the video, so this would just be a cross-reference in the future when I can see my calf gains. I probably should have stood up and checked them, but anyway, that's where my shitty calves are at, but they have been far shittier. If you can see the circumference of my ankle, that's how big my calves at one point were in my life. So I have come a long way. They used to be like 11 inches, which is smaller than my fucking forearms by a long shot. Now they're 14, which is still smaller than my forearms, but it's you know, it's not too bad now. But on the last note, yeah, train your neck if you're into combat sports. Anecdotally, I've been king hit, which means punched in the back of the head without any knowledge of that punch coming. Didn't go unconscious because my neck is trained. I have a strong neck. I've been punched by people a few times in my life and never gone unconscious. Touch wood, not so far at least, and hopefully never get punched again. But yeah, or if you're in a car crash, it will potentially save your life. Train your neck. You'll be more handsome. You'll be more resilient. And you'll be able to headbutt people really hard.